Hello everyone and welcome to your language class. This is the fifth video in the English Level Up course, a series especially designed for intermediate and upper intermediate learners who want to improve not only their grammar but also other skills such as speaking and writing. I have created a playlist dedicated to this series so you can easily follow the videos in order whenever you need them. The best way to learn from this series is to watch each lesson carefully and then try to make as many examples as possible with the grammar structures you learn. That way, you can practice actively and I can help correct your examples if needed. I do read your comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you are new here, my name is Rahim. I have been an English teacher for 10 years and I'm also a researcher in the field of sociolinguistics. Today we are going to look at another challenging grammar area for English learners, the difference between past perfect and past simple. The goal of this lesson is not just to introduce the basics of these two structures, but to help you use them more accurately and naturally so your English sounds more fluent in both speaking and writing. Many intermediate and even advanced learners confuse these two tenses because they think of past events in the wrong order or because the timeline is not always clear to them. As a result, they sometimes use them in the wrong place. So in this lesson, I'm going to make the difference as clear as possible. Without further ado, let's get started. When we want to describe a sequence of past events that happened one after another, we usually put those events in chronological order, using the past simple. But if we want to refer to an event that happened before another past event, we can use the past perfect. Take a look at this example. I wrote my sister an email to thank her for the gift she had given me for my birthday last month. But as soon as I pressed the send button, I realized that I had made a mistake and sent it to my friend instead. Let's break down the order of events here. First, she gave me the gift. Second, I wrote the email. Third, I made a mistake. Fourth, I realized the mistake. Now here is the key point. The gift was given before I wrote the email, so we use had given. Also, I made the mistake before I realized it, so we say I had made a mistake. This is exactly the kind of situation where the past perfect helps us show that something happened earlier than another past event. There are cases where we can use past simple and past perfect interchangeably. When the listener already understands that we are talking about events before another past event, we do not always need to keep repeating the past perfect. For example, I moved to a new apartment last spring. I had lived in my old place for years, but it started to feel too small. I made several changes to it, but it didn't solve the problem I was having. In this example, the timeline is already clear. The old place came before the new apartment, so the past perfect is useful. But in some contexts, the past simple can also be used if the sequence is obvious. We can say it started to feel too small or it had started to feel too small. I made several changes to it or I had made several changes to it. The difference is often very small, but the past perfect makes the earlier action clearer and more precise. Similarly, if the order of past events is already clear from the context, for example, because time expressions make the order clear, we can often use either the past perfect or the past simple. For example, after Sarah had submitted her application, she checked her email. We can also say, after Sarah submitted her application, she checked her email. The two researchers agreed to collaborate even though earlier meetings had failed to solve the problem. We can also say the two researchers agreed to collaborate even though earlier meetings failed to solve the problem. In these kinds of sentences, the past perfect is helpful because it clearly shows that one event happened before another. But if the meaning is already clear, the past simple can also work. Now let's move on to another very important use. The past perfect is often used in reporting what was originally said or thought in the present perfect or past simple. This is an area where using the wrong tense can cause confusion or make the time relationship less clear. Let's look at this example. I have already seen that movie. I was sure that I had already seen that movie. Here, the original sentence is in the present perfect, but when we report it later in the past, we usually move the action back to the past perfect. That shows that seeing happened before the moment of reporting. If we used simple past here, it would be less precise and could blur the sequence of events. Another example, the streets haven't changed much. I noticed that the streets hadn't changed much. Here, the original sentence describes a state that continues up to the present. When we report it from a past viewpoint, we usually shift that idea to the past perfect. This makes it clear that the streets were already in that condition before the reporting time. Another example, several passengers were injured in the accident. Police reported that several passengers had been injured in the accident. In this case, the injuries happened before the police reported the event. The past perfect emphasizes that the action was already completed before the reporting point. The past simple can also be possible if the context is clear and the focus is simply on the fact itself. And one more example, I broke the vase. She admitted that she had broken the vase. After verbs like admit, the past perfect often helps show that the breaking happened earlier than the admission. It sounds especially natural when the speaker wants to stress responsibility for a finished past action. Now let's quickly wrap up what we have learned today. The main idea is that the past simple is used for completed events in sequence, while the past perfect helps us show that one event happened before another past event. In many cases, the past perfect makes the timeline clearer, especially in a storytelling, reporting speech, and showing earlier past actions. These differences may seem small, but they are very important if you want your English to sound natural, accurate, and clear in both the speaking and writing. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel and share my videos with other English learners. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to write them in the comment section. I do read your comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Until the next video, keep learning, keep improving, and remember, consistency always pays off.